nice. So I decided to try a few different new things. For one, I'm gonna whisper in this video, and we'll see how you guys like it. And for the first time on this channel, I'm gonna try to read a story. It's a short story by Sherlock Holmes. So enjoy. It's called the Boscombe. I hope you can hear the little sounds of rain in the background. If not, I'm sorry. Okay, well, let's get going here. Okay. We were seated at breakfast one morning, my wife and I, when the maid brought in a telegram. It was from Sherlock Holmes and ran in this way. Have you a couple of days to spare? Have you just been wired for from the west of England in connection with Boscombe Valley tragedy? Shall be glad if you will come with me. Scenario perfect. Leave Paddington by 11:15. What do you say, dear? Said my wife, looking across at me. Will you go? I really don't know what to say. I have a fairly long list at present. Oh, and Straffer, what do you work for you? What do you work for you? I think that's a mistake here. You have been looking a little pale lately. I think that's the chance. Change would do you good, and you are always so interested in Mr. Sherlock Holmes' cases. I should be ungrateful if I were not to see what I gained through one of them, I answered. But if I am to go, I must pack at once, for I have only half an hour. My experience of camp life in Afghanistan at least had the effect of making me a prompt and ready traveler. My wants were few and simple, so that less than the time started, I was in a cab with valleys rattling away to Paddington Station. Sherlock Holmes were passing up and down the platform. His tall, gaunt figure made even gaunter and taller by his long grey travelling cloak and close-fitting cloth cap. It is really very good of you to come, Watson, said he. It makes a considerable difference to me, having someone with me on whom I can thoroughly rely. Local aid is always either worthless or else biased. If you will keep the two corner seats, I shall get the tickets. We had a carriage 2 hours or so for an immense little or papers which Holmes had simple cases which are so extremely difficult. That sounds a little paradoxical, but it is profoundly true. Singularity is almost invariably a clue. The most featureless commonplace a crime is, the more difficult it is to bring it home. In this case, however, they have established a very serious case against the son of the murdered man. Is it a murder then? Well, it is conjectured to be so. I shall take nothing for granted until I have the opportunity of looking personally into it. I will explain the state of things to you, as far as I have been able to understand it in very few words. Boscombe Valley is a country district not very far from Ross in Herefordshire, the largest land property in that part is a Mr. John Turner, who made his money in Australia and returned home some years ago to the old country. One of the farms which he held, that of our Atherley, was let to Mr. Charles McCarthy, who was also an ex-Australian. The men had known each other in the colonies, so that it was not unnatural that when they came to settle down they should do so as near each other as possible. Turner was apparently a rich man, so McCarty became his tenant, but still remained, it seems, upon terms of perfect equality, as they were frequently together. McCarty had one son, a lad of 18, and Turner had only a daughter of the same age, but neither of them had wives living. They appear to have avoided the society of the neighboring English families, and to have led retreat lives. Through the McCartys were fond of sport, and were frequently seen as the race meeting of the neighborhood. Kept two servants, a man and a girl. Turner had a considerable household, some half dozen at least. That is much as I have been able to gather about the families. Now for the facts. On June the 3rd, that is, on Monday last, McCarthy left his house at Hatherley about 3 in the afternoon and walked down to the Boscombe Pool, which is a small lake formed by a spreading out of the stream which runs down the Boscombe Valley. He had been out with his serving man in the morning at Ross, and he had told the men that he must hurry, as he had an appointment of importance to keep at 3 from the appointment. He never came back alive. From Hatherley farmhouse to the Boscombe Pool is a quarter of a mile, and 2 people saw him as he passed over his ground. One was an old woman whose name is not mentioned, police believed the father was actually in the site at the time and the son was following him. He thought no more of the matter until he heard in the evening of the tragedy that had occurred. The two McCaffreys were seen after the time when William Crowder, the gamekeeper, lost sight of them. The Boscombe pool is thickly wooded around, which, with just a fringe of grass and of reeds around the edge, a girl of 14, Patient Moran, who is the daughter of the lodge keeper of the Boscombe Valley estate, was in one of the woods picking flowers. She states that while she was there she saw at the border of the wood and close by the lake Mr. Caffrey and his son, and that they appeared to be having a violent quarrel. She heard Mr. McCaffrey, the elder, using very strong language to his son, and he saw the latter raise up his hands as if to strike his father. She was so frightened by their violence that she ran away and told her mother, when she reached home, that she had left the two McCaffrey quarreling near Boscombe, and that she was afraid that they were going to fight. She had hardly said the words when young Mr. Caffrey came running up to the lodge to say that he had found his father dead in the wood, and to ask for the help of the lodge keeper. He was much excited without either his gun or his hat, and his right hand and sleeve were observed to be stained with fresh blood. On following him, they found the dead body stretched out upon the grass beside the pole. The head had been beaten in by repeated blows of the same and blunt weapon. The injuries were such as may well have been inflicted by the butt end of his son's gun, which was found laying on the grass within a few paces of the body. Under these circumstances, the young man was instantly arrested, and a verdict of willful murder having been returned at the inquest on Tuesday, he was on Wednesday brought before the magistrates at Ross, who have referred the case to the next assessors. Those are the main facts of the case as they came out before the coroner and the police court. I could hardly imagine a more damning case, I remarked, if ever circumstantial said I, that the facts are so obvious that you will find a little credit to be gained out of this case. There is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact, he answered, laughing. Besides, we may chance to hit upon some other obvious facts, which may have been by no means obvious to Miss Lestrade. You know me too well to think that I'm boasting when I say that I shall either confirm or destroy this theory by means which is quite incapable of employing, or even of understanding. To take the first example to hand, I very clearly perceive that in your bedroom the window is open, the right hand side, and yet I question whether Mr. Lestrade would have noted even so evident at things as that. How on earth, my dear fellow, I know you well. I know the military neatness which characterizes you. You shave every morning, and in this season you shave by the sunlight, but since your shaving is less and less complete as you get farther back on the left side, until it becomes positively slovenly as we get around the angle of the jaw. It is surely very clear that that side is less illuminated than the other. I could not imagine a man of your habits looking at himself in an equal light and being satisfied with such a result. I only quote this as a trivial example of observation and inference. Therein lies neither, and it is just possible that it may be of some service in the investigation which lies before us. They are one or two minor points which were brought out in the inquest, and which are worth considering. What are they? It appears that his arrest did not take place at once, but after return to Adelaide Farm on the Inspector of Constabulary informing him that he was a prisoner. He remarked that he was not surprised to hear it, and that it was no more than his deserts. This observation of his had the natural effect of removing any traces of doubt with which might have remained in the minds of the coroner's jury. It was a confession, I ejaculated. No, for it was followed by a protestation of innocence. Coming on top of such damning series of events, it was at least a most suspicious remark. On the contrary, said Holmes, it is the brightest rift which I can at present see in the clouds. However innocent he might be, he could not be such an absolute imbecile as not to see that his circumstances were very black against him. He had appeared surprised at his own arrest or fine indignation considerable self-restraint and firmness as to his remark about his deserts. It was also not unnatural if you consider that he stood beside the dead body of his father, and that there is no doubt that he had that very day so far forgotten his filial duty as to bandy words with him, and even according to the little girl, whose evidence is so important, to raise his hand as if to strike him. The self-reproach and contributing which are displayed in his remark appeared to me to be the signs of a healthy mind rather of a guilty one. I shook my head. Many men have been hanged on far slighter evidence, I remarked. So they have, and many men have been wrongfully hanged. What is the young man's own account of the matter? It is, I'm afraid, not very encouraging to his supporters, though there are one of 2 points in it which are suggestive. You will find it here, and may read it for yourself. He picked out from his bundle of copy a local Herefordshire paper, and having turned down the shade, he pointed out the paragraph in which the unfortunate young man had given his own statement of what had occurred. I settled myself down in the corner of the carriage and read it very carefully. It ran in this way: Mr. James McAfee, the only son of the deceased, was then called and gave evidence as follows. I had been away from home 3 days at Bristol, and had only just returned upon the morning of last Monday the 3rd. My father was absent from home at the time of my arrival, and I was informed by the maid that he had driven over the roads with John Cobb. The groom, shortly after my return, I heard the wheels on his trap in the yard, and looking out the window, I saw him get out and walk rapidly out of the yard, though I was not aware in which direction he was going. I then took my gun and strolled out in the direction of the Boscombe pool, with the intention of visiting the rapid Severn, which is upon the other side. On my way I saw William Crowder, the gamekeeper, as he has stated in his evidence, but he is mistaken. I'm thinking that I was following my father. I had no idea that he was in front of me when about as he instantly expired. I knelt beside him for some minutes and then made my way to Mr. Turner's lodge-keeper, his house being the nearest to ask for assistance, so no one near my father. When I returned, I have no idea how he came by his injuries. He was not a popular man, being someone cold and forbidding in his manners, but he had, as far as I know, no active enemies. I know nothing further of the matter. The coroner, did your father make any statement to you before he died? Witness, he mumbled a few words, but I could only catch some allusion to a rat. The coroner, what did you understand by that? Witness, it conveyed to meaning to me. I thought he was delirious. The coroner, what was the point upon which you and your father had this final quarrel? Witness, I should prefer not to answer. The coroner, I'm afraid that I must press it. Witness, it is really impossible for me to tell you. I can assure you that it has nothing to do with the sad tragedy which followed. The coroner, that is for the court to decide. I need not point out to you that your refusal to answer will prejudge your case considerably in any further proceeding which may arise. Witness, I must still refuse. The coroner understood. I understand that the cry of Cowie was a common signal between you and your father. Witness, it was. The coroner, how was it then that he uttered it before he saw you, and before he even knew that you had returned from Bristol? Witness, which considerable confusion. I do not know. A juryman, did you see nothing which aroused your suspicions, your suspicions, when you returned on hearing the cry and found your father fatally injured? Witness, nothing definite. The coroner, what do you mean? Witness, I was so disturbed and excited that I rushed out into the open, that I could think of nothing except of my father. Yet I have a vague impression that as I ran forward, something lay upon the ground to the left of me. It seemed to me to be something grey in color, a coat of some sort, or a blade, perhaps. When I arose from my father, I looked around for it, but it was gone. Do you mean that it disappeared before you went for help? Yes, it was gone. You cannot say what it was. No, I had a feeling something was there. How far from the body? A dozen yards or so. And how far from the edge? And how far from the edge of the wood? About the same. Then, if it was removed, it was while you were within a dozen yards of it. Yes, but with my back towards it. I shall approach this case from the point of view that what this young man says is true, and we shall see which that hypothesis will lead us. And now, here's my pocket trash, and not another word shall I say of this case until we are on the scene of action. We lunch at Swindon. I see that we shall be there in 20 minutes. It was nearly 4 o'clock when at last, after passing through the beautiful Stroud Valley and over the broad, gleaming Severn, found herself at the pretty little country town of Rose and lean, ferret-like man, furtive and sly-looking, was waiting for us upon the platform, in spite of the light brown desk coat and leather leggings which he wore in deference to his rustic surroundings. I had no difficulty in recognizing Lestrade of Scotland Yard. With him we drove to the Hereford Arms, where a room had already been engaged for us. "I've ordered a carriage," said Lestrade, as we sat over a cup of tea. "I know your energetic nature, and that you would not be happy until you had been on the scene of the crime. That was very nice and complimentary of you," Holmes answered. "It is entirely a question of barometric pressure." Leicester looked startled. "I do not quite follow," he said. "How is the glass? 29, I see. No wind, and not a cloud in the sky. I have a case full of cigarettes here which need smoking, and the sofa is very much superior to the usual concierge abomination. I do not think that it is probably that I shall use a carriage tonight." Lester laughed indulgently. "You have no doubt. Already is so plain as the staff, and the more one goes into it, the plainer it becomes. Still, of course, one can refuse a lady, and such a very positive one, too. She had heard of you, and would have your opinion, though I repeatedly told her that there was nothing which you could do which I had not already done. Why, bless my soul, here is a carriage at the door." He had hardly spoken before the rushes into the room one of the most lovely young women that I have ever seen in my life, her violet eyes shining, her lips battered, and pink flush upon her cheeks, although thought of her natural reserve lost in her overpowering excitement and concern. "Oh, Major Sherlock Holmes," she cried, glancing from one to the other of us, "I find I with administrative institution fastening upon my companion. I am so glad that you have come. I have driven down to tell you so. I know that James didn't do it. I know it, and I want you to start upon your work knowing it, too. Never let yourself doubt upon that point. We have known each other since we were little children, and I know his faults as no one else does." is right. Oh, I know that is right. James never did it. And about his quarrel with his father, and I'm sure that the reason why he would not speak about it to the coroner was because I was concerned about it. In what way? Asked Holmes. It is no time for me to hide anything. James and his father have many disagreements about me. Mr. McCaffrey was very anxious that there should be a marriage between us. James and I have always loved each other as brother and sisters, but of course he is young and has seen very little of life yet, and well, he naturally did not wish to do anything like that yet. So there were quarrels, and this I'm sure was one of them. And your father, asked Holmes, was he in favor of such a union? No, he was averse to it also. No one but McCaffrey was in favor of it. A quick blush passed her fresh young face as Holmes shot one of his keen, questioning glance at her. Thank you for the information, he said. May I see your father if I call tomorrow? I'm afraid the doctor won't allow it. The doctor? Yes, have you not heard? Poor father has never been strong for years back. This has broken him down completely. He has taken to his bed, and Dr. Willow says that he is a wreck, and that his nervous system is shattered. Mr. Caffrey was the only man alive who had known that old days in Victoria. In Victoria, that is important. Yes, at the mines, quite so. At the gold mines, where, as I understand, Mr. Turner made his money. Yes, certainly. Thank you, Miss Turner. You have been a mutual assistance to me. You will tell me if you have any news tomorrow. No doubt you will go to the prison to see James. Oh, if you do, Mr. Holmes, tell him that I know him to be innocent. I will, Miss Turner. I must go now, for Dad is very ill and he misses me. So if I leave him, goodbye, and God help you in your undertaking. She hurried from the room as impulsively as she had entered, and we heard the wheels of the carriage rattle off down the street. I'm ashamed of you, Holmes, said Lestrade with dignity after a few minutes' silence. Why should you raise up hopes which you are bound to disappoint? I'm not over tender of heart, but I call it cruel. I think that I see my way to a clearance. James McCaffrey, said Holmes. Have you an order to see him in person? Yes, but only for you and me, and I shall reconsider my resolution about going out. We have still time to take a train through Hereford and see him tonight. Amble, then let us do so, Watson. I fear that you will find it very slow, but it shall only be away a couple of hours. I walked down to the station with them, and then wandered through the streets of the little town, finally returning to the hotel where I lay upon the sofa and tried to interest myself in the yellow novel. The body plot of the story was so thin So guys, this uh, I think I'm gonna stop now, cause apparently this novel was a lot longer than I expected. Short story, whatever you wanna call it. I'm not even sure you can call it a short story anymore. Anyway, so I'm gonna continue some other day.